And welcome back to WSJ Lunch Break. I'm Wendy Bounds. A little bit of breaking news right now. President Obama has said he will suspend all of his campaigning tomorrow, that being Wednesday, to help deal with the aftermath of Superstorm Sandy. Now, that is not the only thing that is going to be upending this campaign when it comes to the storm. And right now, we're going to talk to Larry Sabato. He is the director for the Center of Politics at the University of Virginia. He is down in Charlottesville right now. Join us by phone. Hi there, Larry.
Hey, how are you, Wendy?
I'm okay. We're up here in New York City getting through this. Let's talk a little bit about what people are starting to really now hone in on as the storm sort of moves through here, which is the next big event, the campaign coming up on Tuesday, Election Day. Let's talk about that. In terms of who's going to come out ahead, do you have a sense yet whether being in the middle of sort of a catastrophic event like this storm will help President Obama more than it might help Mitt Romney because he's out there being sort of presidential?
Well, look at the plus and minus. The plus for Obama is he has essentially taken 3 days off the table here. I noted that that press release that came out just a few minutes ago, too, that the president's going to stay in the White House monitoring the situation tomorrow. Well, that puts Mitt Romney in a difficult position. First of all, he's not the center of attention as he was. He and Obama were both sharing the center of attention, center stage. Now that's not true. Romney is a bystander. He's sidelined. He can still have a few campaign events, but he can't do the kinds of things that he would like to do, including going hard after the administration. The second thing is Obama can appear presidential above the fray. Now, there's a downside to it, and that is we inevitably know that there is no way that all of these power grids and everything can be repaired quickly. Americans are impatient by nature, and I would expect by the weekend to see lots of people complaining on television about it. Right. If you're in charge, you have to take the complaints and responsibility.
That's a very good point. I mean, the longer people go without the power, the more frustrated they become, and the more they may begin to blame the government, and that government currently is led by President Obama. Another impact, I wonder, Larry, about with these power outages is going to be just voting in general. What do you foresee in terms of problems with early voting, as well as voting on Tuesday in the election if power remains out in some of these states?
Well, of course, we leave the election laws mainly to the states, especially the operation of the precincts. Every state is different. In some cases, you'll find that executive orders will resolve the situation partly. In some cases, it will have to be taken to court. There'll have to be a court order. They can extend voting hours. They can designate paper ballots as a legitimate alternative if it isn't already provided for in state law. It is in Virginia. You can use paper ballots in extremis. And so I think they'll work through it, but it certainly isn't going to be easy. It will discourage some people from casting early ballots. That, by the way, could hurt the Obama campaign in Virginia. And second, if there's a region in Virginia, which is the only real swing state affected by this, yes, New Hampshire's affected, but I would say they're tough people up there. They're used to storms. They'll find a way to vote. Virginians less so. We're tough in our own way, but not in this way. And so I think it will reduce the early voting, absentee voting that's going on now.
Larry, let's also talk about the role of big government. Big government now really in the spotlight as these states who've been crippled are reaching out and need help from FEMA. I mean, you even had Governor Chris Christie of New Jersey, who is no supporter of President Obama, has attacked him repeatedly on the campaign trail, but has come out and said that President Obama has been outstanding in his response to this storm. And he said the folks at FEMA have been excellent. So what does this do in this conversation about big government, and how does this perhaps hurt Mitt Romney's argument that big government's role needs to be lessened?
Well, that's a good point. I have to admit, I watched Governor Christie's statement, and my immediate reaction was that there must be enormous cringing going on in the Romney headquarters. I mean, he didn't endorse President Obama, but it was an endorsement. I'm sure you know what I mean.
Exactly.
That would not have been welcome. It's the second time he's done this, of course. He gave the keynote speech at the Republican convention and virtually nominated himself for president. So I rather suspect that Chris Christie isn't the most welcome person at the moment in Romney headquarters. Now, will it really matter in the election? Look, let's remember the vast majority of people, and I mean 97% at this point, already know for whom they're going to vote, or they've already voted.
Good point.
I mean, we're up to the 20% mark in terms of votes having been cast. So let's not exaggerate the impact of any last-minute events.
Very quickly, Larry, before I let you go, negative campaign ads, do you pull them? Do you run them in the next few days?
I think you have to be careful about it. The really harsh negatives, certainly not on the East Coast. You might be able to get away with it in, Colorado, but I'd be careful about that. And I understand they haven't pulled the harsh negatives. These candidates are really pushing the boundaries.